Mike Feuer, running for city attorney.
All right, thanks so much. It's great to be back with you. I come to you this morning as the endorsed candidate of the LA County Democratic Party and of 20 Democratic clubs throughout the city of Los Angeles, hoping to earn your support this morning in my race for city attorney. I'm running to be the leader on neighborhood crime prevention in our communities. I'm going to bring together neighborhood councils and homeowners groups and business leaders and clergy and schools and parents so we can focus on ways to keep gangs and guns out of neighborhoods and away from our kids' schools. I've been a leader on protecting our most vulnerable throughout my career. I've written almost every one of the cities and 2 of the states' toughest gun laws to deter gun violence. That's why I'm endorsed by Senator Feinstein, the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence, former LAPD Chief Bill Bratton, and so many others. I've also been a leader on protecting senior citizens. Many of you know that I led for 8 years MedCedec Legal Services, the House of Justice. When I was at MedCedec, we helped around 50,000 clients. People who were being abused or neglected in nursing homes, having their houses stolen from them by scam artists, losing their health care, the most important problems they ever faced, and they came to us, and we got great results almost all the time, which is why the legal newspaper said that I made MedCedec a national success story and named me one of the 100 most influential lawyers in the entire state of California. I'm going to bring these values and a focus on protecting our environment, supported by the Sierra Club and We Constitution Voters, a focus on consumer protection, to a city attorney's office that needs vigorous, focused leadership with real integrity for our city. It's great to be back with all of you Democrats, and I'd like to hear your support. Thanks very much.
Mike, what are the top 3 issues that you will address if elected city attorney?
So, top 3 things I'm going to do: focus on neighborhoods by revitalizing a neighborhood prosecutor program that has been decimated by the current city attorney. That's the program I mentioned, where I want to connect law enforcement with community leaders throughout our city to focus on the priorities that matter most in neighborhoods. Second, combating gun violence. I alluded to the fact that I have this broad support because of my leadership since the mid-1990s on gun violence. Not a new issue for me. Now, I should tell you, in this race, I'm the only candidate to have a plan on how to combat gun violence and deal with school safety. That's the last of the 3 issues I want to talk about. And that is, in addition to neighborhoods broadly, I want to focus the resources of these neighborhood prosecutors on in and around school zones and focus on truancy issues and getting our communities really tied together with school safety. Those are my 3 top priorities.
City attorney, since few people know what the functions of the office are?
When you said what the functions were, where you were going with that, I got it. Okay. So, the answer is no. There have been proposals on and off again to break up the city attorney's office. Let me tell you what's going on right now. City council members want to hire their own lawyers because they think the city attorney is not effective at doing the people's business. The mayor has proposed most recently doing away with all the civil, the non-criminal functions in the city attorney's office, but it's not a good idea. What really needs to happen is, instead of looking at the current city attorney and saying he's not doing his job well, we should change the structure of the office forever, we should get a better city attorney. Because to have an appointed city attorney is to invite problems like we've seen in Bell and other communities, where a city council hires a city attorney and then gets the advice that they're paying for, because the city attorney is concerned that he or she will lose their job if they don't give the advice that the city council, the mayor, wants. We need to have 2 key functions at the city attorney's office for this purpose. One is an independent city attorney who stands up for what's right, who stands up for our communities. But as the LA Times said when they endorsed me this week, we also need a city attorney who's going to collaborate with city leaders, the council members, the mayor, community activists, because more than ever in our city's history, we need to solve our problems. Solving problems takes teamwork. And by the way, I pledge to you never to need the stop sign to be raised today. I'm going to be very concise. Thank you. So far, so good, right?
What will you do as city attorney to prevent the bulldozing of by-right public land that includes city easements and city attorney?
Yes. So as some of you who are here know, Marcia knows, other folks know who are here, I have long history as an environmental leader. I mentioned the support I have, the very broad support from the environmental community, and history when it comes to biome. And, you know, as I stand here now, I cannot predict what the future is going to hold precisely for the wetlands. I can tell you I have history in standing up to support them, but moving forward, something else I do have to say, and that is that as city attorney, I mentioned a couple times now my priority on ensuring that we have strong environmental protections in our city. I never make promises I can't keep, ever. I've never, ever done that. And regarding the wetlands, again, I cannot predict with certainty what's going to come up next. But I can tell you there'll be no candidate for city attorney, no one who's running for that office who has a longer and stronger record on protecting the environment generally and the wetlands in particular, and I'm going to bring those values and that focus to my job. That's what I can say today.
What steps will you take to address the community concerns surrounding Santa Monica Airport?
So the thing is, I can tell which individuals have raised which concerns. So let me turn in this direction. So it's important to know your neighborhood. So listen, I have had a number of meetings with different groups regarding Santa Monica Airport, different issues. Some concerns about the prop planes and the directions that they take as they fly. Other concerns about the jet planes. And I can tell you this much, that the current city attorney has, from what I can tell, done nothing to address these issues. They're complicated, they relate to different jurisdictions, LA and Santa Monica, the federal government. What I can promise you today is this deserves a fresh look and a real focus on all the issues that have been raised. Because one common theme, even though the people whom I met don't always agree with each other, welcome to our community here, I can tell you is the common theme is that it's not fair for Venice residents of this community and Mar Vista as well, to bear the brunt of the Santa Monica Airport's negative impacts, while the city of Santa Monica tries to insulate people who live in Santa Monica from those impacts. That's not fair. So, I want to return to something I said before. You know, it's easier for candidates to pander before groups. I can't tell you for sure I can solve this problem. But I can tell you that I will bring fresh attention to it. I think you can tell I understand the issues. And that's what you get from me. Understanding, and a focus, and an attempt to do better on this issue. Forget the red sign. Okay. So listen, I'm going to be very, very brief. I was kidding around about the fact that I kind of know who asked which questions because I know the community here pretty well. But there's something serious about that point. As city attorney, I need to be the city attorney who focuses on neighborhoods. You've heard that theme throughout my presentation this morning. Focusing on neighborhoods means caring enough to have done outreach early on to communities. That's what I was as a city council member. I created neighborhood councils in my council district before the council required them through the charter. And then I led the charter reform effort on the city council as well, because I want to connect people in their individual communities with changes in the quality of life there because they got engaged. You know, one thing I admire so much about this club and about so many Democratic clubs around the city is you are volunteering your time because you care, because you want to get engaged. And what you get from me is a real passion for engaging with you, reaching out with you. Because I know that even though you are activists in the Democratic Party, that many of you are very skeptical that people in government are doing the job well. I have to help inspire you to believe differently. But we need to inspire each other. This is a huge city. Every weekend, I span the city during the week. You know, I'm starting my morning in an Afro-American church in South Los Angeles typically and ended in somewhere in the valley or on the east side. It's a huge city and there's one common theme. We need to stand up for each other. We need to listen carefully to each other and lift each other up in a city where we are one community. I hope that I can earn your support today, but the most important thing is, after the election, I hope we will work together. Nicole is standing in the back. I have more than 1,000 grassroots supporters. If you will sign up to join them as individuals, I would be thrilled. Thank you very, very much.
Is Greg here? Greg Smith? Greg Smith?
No.
Is it 11:20? Okay.
No, but we see Wendy coming up.
Pardon?
Wendy's coming up.
Great. Because she's next after Greg Smith.
I'll let her.
So this is doing well. Is Mike still here? Mike, do you want to answer one more question since your opponent is here?
Only if it's a good question.
Because it says, please evaluate city's attorneys Delgadillo and Trujillo in relation to medical marijuana.
It's fine. I can do it very quickly.
All right.
So question about medical marijuana. So here's what I think about medical marijuana. People who are sick with cancer and other illnesses from which they are suffering need to have access to medical marijuana to alleviate their pain. But there are too many dispensaries in our city. And it's in many cases too easy to get marijuana at these dispensaries, and sometimes they're unsafe in communities. So for a long time I've been saying the city attorney should be leading the effort to strike that balance between assuring access for people who are genuinely sick, and at the same time making sure that the goal of the people when they enacted the initiative that created the access to medical marijuana is fulfilled, which is safe access for the people who are using it and for the communities in which they're located. Finally, after years of grappling with this, the City Council has a referendum, that initiative that's going to appear on the ballot in May, and I think it moves us in the right direction. The fact that it's taken this long is a whole other question. But this, I think we are on the verge of being able to say to people who are sick, you have access to medical marijuana, and to people in communities concerned about there being too many dispensaries that are unsafe, you know what? We're going to make sure that they're safe. That's a balance that I believe in. So, okay, thank you again.